All right, round two, I guess. Um, as I mentioned at the end of the last video, that is bullshit with the state college thing. The guy was full of shit to begin with, so who knows? Whatever. They can play. Kids aren't sick enough to play at any rink close to them, but down here, they're too sick. So you bitched about it earlier, and nonetheless, it was a good call on Mark's part. So I don't know. Doesn't really matter anymore. So, anyways, so as I was also saying at the end of last video, um, the fact that the words "deadbeat dad" would even come out of your mouth is it's representation of your immaturity, of your ignorance, of your. I mean, it pretty much epitomizes everything that you stand for, which is anything but common sense. So, um, when I'm not doing my own work, I spend the majority of the time doing nothing but hockey stuff for these kids. I spent the last fucking 3 days, and your son can attest to this. I spent the last 3 fucking days trying to get games for Alex's tournament team at his request, and hold on, which I did. I got him set up with a bunch. And not that I mind or anything like that, but I've done well over half of your team manager duties as well. So, um, again, just for you to say something like that, it's disheartening. It's everything that represents a complete fucking idiot, a naive. I don't know. It's there's not words, Chris. There's not words. And I understand that the way you're wired, you will say anything and everything you have to say in order to get a heads up on anybody, and it's childish at best. So, anyways, hold on. Emails are flying in. All right. So that there's another email about Alex's tournament team. So, anyways, on the contrary, I showed you a couple of little notes. That one. You know what they are. They both came out of your mouth. Both extremely true. Extremely accurate. And so I do give you a little bit of credit there, because for you to acknowledge that's something you don't do very often. That's for sure. But yeah, they are very, 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 very true. So on the other side of things, you have this one right here. See that one? You said that one too. You said that to me. That was pretty much not the biggest, but it was one of the bigger lies you've ever told in your life. And there's a couple of reasons that I say that. Number one is that I don't think you have any clue in the world what love is. None whatsoever. You can try to dispute that if you want, but there's too many glaring factors that are out there that indicate otherwise. You just don't. You've been taught to care about yourself and care about yourself only, and that's what you do. That's it. So when you do that, it's hard to distinguish feelings. I mean, 26 years, Chris, and I can count on one hand how many times I've actually felt affection from you, or felt that you cared about me, or felt that you loved me, or felt. I mean, one hand in 26 years. It doesn't happen very often. And again, I said earlier that the only time I have felt something like that is when you got signed. I mean, one of the big one was after your fuck fest in Massachusetts. I bought you the diamond necklace. That was probably the most affection I've ever felt from you. It was because I gave you diamonds, not because of anything else. And then you were proud of yourself. Yeah, you gave me diamonds. Look at that. I kissed you. Did you see? Did you notice I kissed you? Yeah, that's great. That's fucking great. It's just you're clueless when it comes to emotion, Chris. I mean, I committed to you many years ago, and then and then you go to the marriage thing, and whether you want to believe it or not, whether you want to, again, because I guess that you didn't get 100% of the attention that night, and I apologize for that, but still, it's still retarded. But um, that was, to me, that was the happiest day of my life. There's no two ways about it. It wasn't our kids being born. It was marrying you was my goal in life, and that's what I did. That's what I wanted to do, and that was the happiest day of my life. And I meant, without a doubt, everything I said at the altar. Unlike yourself, again, a more uh, another series of lies and untruths and whatever. I mean, it meant nothing to you. It wasn't material. Um, and it's funny. I know you can't see this. I don't know you don't want to see this, but everything all adds up so easily with you. And I don't want to say the only one that doesn't get it is you, because most of the people that you talk to on a daily basis don't get it because they get a different story from you. But anybody with any kind of brain, knowledge, sensibility can see this, that you're a one I don't know, you're a one horse town by yourself. You come first, your work comes second. Look, you're calling me. You see that? And I hit ignore, as I usually do. Um, so I don't have anything to say to you on the phone, so I hit ignore. I'm saying everything I have to say here. But anyways, essentially from what I can deduce, every time you've told me in our lifetime together that you love me is a big crock of shit. There's numerous reasons for that. There's numerous reasons that can back that up very, very easily. Um, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't believe that you ever cared about me, because I think you did at some point. Um, I'm not sure if I was top 10, top 20 ever in your life amongst anything else, but it's still, I was still never up there, ever. And that's a fucking shame. I would have, and I still to this day would die for you. I'm not sure that. See, like this call right here. You're calling me right now. Again. See, look, it still says baby. Curious to know, my name is in your phone now, but so no, I'm not sure that. I think you probably cared about me more than anybody else ever in your life, but that's not saying much. Um, which I could say the same for you, but that means a whole lot more to me than it does to you. Um, Not sure why you keep calling, but there you are again. See, I do hear it, and I'm not going to answer. So, chances are that's a call for me to solve some sort of a problem for you. I would assume with hockey. I don't know. But at this point right now, I'm done with that stuff. I'm done. I've tried to stay out of the loop today, but Rick has called me literally, I don't know, probably 9 times today, something like that. So, but anyways, I don't know. It's very, very difficult to explain to somebody that is a cold-hearted bitch and that is heartless and does not respect the feelings of others, how you feel when they don't understand that side of the emotional ladder, so to speak. Um, I mean, I can honestly say that I thought about you and I think about you. I mean, every day of my life for 26 years. So that's, and it's probably more than that actually, but, roughly quick math, 365 times 26. That's 9,490 days, which you're probably the first thought in my head, or have been the first thought in my head every single, even to this day. When I open my eyes, you're the first thought in my head. And I mean, the way when you feel like that about somebody, and you believed for so long that person felt like that about you, and then come to find out it's just a crock of shit. I mean, there's nothing more heart wrenching than that, Chris. Not losing a house. I mean, it's just. I don't know. I don't know how you can do some of the things that you do and feel any comfort. really don't. I just don't. You just, you've got no heart whatsoever. You've got none. You're so caught up in yourself. It's disgusting. I've paid the price dramatically, and our kids have paid the price dramatically, and still none of it ever means anything to you. It's unbelievable. It really is. It's how you can. I've said it a million times. How you can look at yourself in the mirror, face yourself is beyond belief. But again, I do know after my research and reading, which I've taken the time to do, that people like you, that's how you react. It doesn't matter what you do. You know, I mean, there's millions of. I mean, with me, there's hundreds of examples. With our kids, there's hundreds of examples. With Diane, there's hundreds of. Well, not hundreds with Diane, but there's quite a few with Diane. You shit on people and just don't give a fuck. Don't fucking care. And you don't care. You don't allow yourself to care because you justify your actions in your head, and somehow make yourself, you manipulate everything into yourself being right, and it's just fucking ridiculous. As much as you and I and your lesbian friend fucking sat and talked about Diane and blah blah blah, and believe me, I'm not sticking up for Diane, but what I am doing is defending her against your actions, because I've been through your actions and it's not a pretty sight. But you still, I mean, you fucking hurt that girl's feelings tremendously, and for no reason. For no reason other than what Jen fed into your head. And not to say that a lot of it wasn't true. We know that she sat and listened to us and everything like that. Did a lot of immature stuff, and you know, I'm not going to sit here and say she's not immature, because she is. She's not as bad as you are, but nonetheless she is. But still, the fact of the matter is, that's just another example that you shit on somebody, literally fucking spread your ass cheeks and shit all over somebody, and don't give two fucks about it. Don't take the time to apologize. Don't take the time to fucking acknowledge your mistakes. You never do. You never do, Chris, ever. You don't give people credit for anything, specifically me. I've been about the best father these kids could have in the last year and a half, even maybe even longer than that. You tell me I'm a fucking deadbeat dad. Absolutely pathetic. I gave my fucking heart to you, Chris. My heart since 1987, 86, whatever it was, has been reserved for you and you only. And there's a lot to be said for that. As much as you say you don't care, there's not many people out there that have the love for their spouse that I have for you. And you can make up whatever reason you want to say, oh, it's only because. No, it's not only because. It's only because I fucking actually care about you. Because I actually think that we were meant to be together. I think that we are good together, regardless of the fights. I mean, the fights is an issue that you have mentally. The mistakes were an issue that I had mentally. Over and beyond that, aside from that, There's nobody that gets along better than you and I, or that we're made for each other. We have, and I understand that you've reached the point where your wild oats are going crazy because of your promiscuity and whatnot. Um, what did you miss? Blah blah blah. I really don't. I mean, cliche would be to say I hope you find that, but no, I don't. I hope you fucking get shit on and fucked again. Really, because you're not smart enough in a relationship to appreciate what you have. And you had everything in the world with me except for financial responsibility. And you still have everything in the world in me except for, well, not, it's not anymore except for at the time, but everything that you've lacked over the last 10 years, give or take, is there. And the love is still there. Everything is still there. Um, you just don't appreciate what you have. It's that story again. Give me credit for nothing. The only thing you give me fucking credit for is bad stuff. And you're lining up. You'll line up at the fucking front door to tell everybody and anybody what I do wrong. But you never tell anybody what I do right. Never ever. So all that being said, you mesh all those together, that you're a cold-hearted bitch, that you admittedly don't give me credit for things that I do right. So you mix those two together. Is it possible? Is it entirely fucking possible that I might be right about something? Because those aren't things that I'm accusing you of. They are things that I'm accusing you of, without a doubt. Don't get me wrong. The things that you've also said yourself. So if you put those two together, is there a fucking snowball's chance in hell that I might be right about something? If you want to go to Bellevue, we can go to Bellevue. That's fine. I didn't lose the house. And I'll explain the whole fucking thing to you. We were dwelling in Diane's basement, correct? Fair assumption. Um, every day I heard from you, and believe me, I don't blame you. I want to get the fuck out of here. I want to get the fuck out of here. I want to get the fuck out of here. I empathized with you. I agreed with you. Everything like that. So with Bellevue, I had control of, via my mother, had control of a credit card of hers. It wasn't a stolen card. It wasn't anything like that. It was a card that she knew I had and said I could use, blah, blah, blah. With that card came checks because the bills were coming to our house, to my mail, not to her mail. So, and that's from Havenwood. And so that being said, the fastest possible way I could get us out of there, because I needed, don't quote me on this because I know you quote me on everything that I mess up, but I think it was, what the hell was it, 16, 18, I think it was 36, 5,400, I think it was 5,400 we needed down to get in to the place. So, and at that point I had 2,000 and some. I had 2,800 or something like that. Whatever it was, but it was on the high end of 2,000. So I wasn't quite halfway there. So with this card, I had checks. So what I did is wrote one of those checks for our down payment, or whatever entry fee or whatever you want to call it, to get into the place, to get us into the fucking house. So that's what I did. Within the next month, well, first of all, the 2,800 or whatever it was, 700, it was somewhere in that area. Whatever I had there, I paid on the bill immediately, and within the next month, paid the rest of it off. It was 1 month and 17 days before I got an email from Scott stating that there was a problem with the check. 1 month and 17 days, and I still have that on my email as well. So, at that point, I said, I don't know what you want me to tell you, but so I had paid that portion of it off. So all of a sudden he wants $5,400 from me. If that was, I'm not exactly sure about the number, to be honest with you, but it was 54. It was 5,000 some, and I'm like, well, you got to give me a couple weeks now because I had paid that off on the credit card. So, and then I told him that I said I'll give you another check, but he wouldn't take a check from the same place. I'm like, so that's what began the whole ordeal. So whether it was perhaps not the most straightforward way to do things, and I'll give you credit for that. Nonetheless, it was done on the up and up, and again, for the first time in like 3 years or 2 years, anyways, I was doing things the way they were supposed to be done, and I still got nailed. So at that point, Scott's like, well, there's a problem with the check. I'm not going to continue the lease. And, it wasn't for lack of money. It wasn't for lack of paying. It wasn't for anything like that. It was just there was a problem with the check. His explanation, vividly and verbatim, was there was a problem with the check, so I'm not going to continue the lease. And the problem with the check had nothing to do with me. It was just the credit card company flagging it for a irregular transaction. So that check that I paid Scott originally was paid off in a month, and within the month. Actually, that was paid off within the month. So, anyways, so that's where that whole thing started. It wasn't for lack of rent paid or anything like that. It was because of that, and then I got pissed off. He got pissed off, and it all boiled down to that. And I'm like, I'm not going to do this again. I paid you what you needed to be paid, what you asked to be paid. I paid him the rent monthly. I didn't miss a fucking rent payment, and except for that first check. But that was enough. After we signed the original 2-month lease, that was enough for him to say no. And that's where the eviction process started. That was it. I kid you not. It was not lack of payment. So from there on, I did my research as I always do, and as long as you continue to pay the rent, they are going to have a real problem, whether your lease is up or not, which our lease was technically up. So that was where the eviction process ultimately won. So our lease was technically up because it was a 2-month lease that we signed to begin with. And that 2-month lease was based on as long as everything goes all right, we're good. Well, that one check made things not go all right. So, um, so that being said, as much as you want to say, I mean, I guess technically, if you want to say I got us kicked out of there again, maybe there's a valid argument there, because I guess technically, if it was not for something that I did, which was write that check, not a bad check, not a fake check, not anything like that check, there was a problem with that check. So if you want to utilize that as your alibi, you might have a little bit of an argument. Not much, because it was paid for. Um, there was a problem with it, yeah. Small problem, which any normal human being would say, we got a problem with this, let's take care of it and be done with it. Would have been done and over with. That's not how Scott was. So I can't do anything about that. Sunset Circle, I didn't pay the mortgage. Havenwood, I didn't pay the rent. Bellevue, I paid everything I was supposed to pay. And a lot more. A whole shitload more. So to utilize that, you're dead fucking wrong. You put our kids in the situation they're in, and they're going to be in, because you're assuming, you and your cohorts are assuming that it's the same fucking thing. It's not the same fucking thing. Not even close. And then you want to bring Leo into it too. Dave, he said you fucking lied to him. I'm still not even sure what I lied to him about, but what I do know is I told Leo the whole fucking story. And I would be lying if I didn't exaggerate a couple things. But that's about it. I did tell him, without a doubt, that our niece was babysitting and then saw that dude looking in the fucking window. Close, but I actually saw the dude looking in the window. But over and beyond that, I don't lie to Leo about anything. So from there, after the eviction, you got your buddy attorneys all the time. Ask them the process. Any eviction notice or any eviction that occurs, you will get a letter of distress. That letter of distress is simply for one thing: to retain your property, to go get your shit, basically. By law, it has to happen. A landlord cannot take your shit, cannot hold your shit, cannot do anything like that. Get a letter of distress. They give you a time and place that you can go get your shit. Due to the fact that we were dealing with an attorney, or I was dealing with an attorney, that correspondence, which was confirmed by Scott's attorney, went to Leo. Leo never made us aware of that. Never said a word to me. Never. Ever, ever. Ever. So, All of a sudden, shit's gone. And coincidentally, within 4 days of the shit being gone, and I did my homework on this too, it was 4 days later, Leo decides to drop me as a client. I have no way of guaranteeing or assuring that that's why, but that's a pretty good guess. You're in the legal field, there's crooked shit that goes on all the time, you should have a pretty good idea. But had I got a letter of distress, I would have been there in a heartbeat. Never got it. Leo got the letter and never advised us of it. And maybe with a lot of things, it comes down to what you get what you pay for. And maybe that's the case with Leo. Maybe you get what you pay for. But that's all I can say about that whole situation, Chris. I paid what I was supposed to pay. I was not responsible for losing our shit. I was not. And, you know, if I fucking... I don't know, whatever. I have no problem admitting what I do wrong now. As a matter of fact, I welcome it. When I do something wrong, I welcome it. I've learned a lot. I as opposed to you, have taken change seriously. I don't fucking try to blame everything in my life on other people. I don't expect other people to pick me up where I need to be picked up. You do it yourself. So I have no problem admitting anything. And pretty much any of the whole fucking Sunset or Havenwood ordeals, there's really not a hell of a lot I can say. That, I mean, I'm responsible for all of it. Every bit of it. It sucks. I'm sorry. I just mentally was in a shitty fucking place. I wish I could explain it better than that, but I can't. I didn't want to deal with anything. Anytime anything came up, the sheriff came to the door with a fucking letter or whatever, I took it and hid it, and I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to, you know, and I've mentioned several times that it's ignore it, hope it goes away. And that's the attitude that I had. My attitude was not to, oh, I'm really going to fuck Chris on this one. Thought never even crossed my mind. And for you to believe that is just incredulous as well. My thought was to take this fucking letter, shove it somewhere, and hope I never hear anything else about it. But that's how fucking idiotic I was. Like, I guess theoretically deep down I knew, yeah, it's not going away. But the more I ignore it, the better off I am. Not the right attitude at all. But that's the attitude that I had. And that's the attitude that lost us those 2 houses. Bellevue? No. Not even close. So you need to get it through your fucking head that your thought process with whether it's you lost us 3 houses, you're wrong. Whether it's you're the one that fucked us, you're wrong. Because I fucked us with the first 2 houses. There's no argument there. After that, I didn't fuck us. So there's 2 right there that you don't have a leg to stand on. You believe you do, and that's what you believe in, but you're wrong. So take that to heart. Try to, at least. I lie about finances. Talk to you in the next round.